Okay, could you please tell me your name?
Rose Ann Rudisill.
Is that Rose Ann one word?
No, it's two different, and I go by Ann.
Okay, how do you spell it?
Roseann. Rudis as in Sam, ILL.
Okay, and are you a resident of Michigan?
Yes, I became a citizen of this wonderful country a year ago.
Ah.
Through the military, thank God.
Where are you from?
I'm from England.
Okay.
But I've been here 58 years.
You've been a resident of Michigan for 58 years?
Oh, yeah, I've been here forever, but I became a United States citizen last year.
I was going to say, you sure sound like a native Michigander.
Yeah, I've been here forever.
Gotcha. Okay, and so then you've already told me you're over the age of 18. Very good.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that everything we talk about tonight, or today, sorry, it's been a long day.
I was going to say, I'm sure it's been a long day.
It's been a long few days. That we're going to stay on things that you personally witnessed and experienced. If you want to tell me something that someone else told you, that's certainly fine. Just be sure you tell me, I was told this. But my main interest is in what you actually saw and witnessed.
Okay, perfect. Because that's exactly what I would tell you.
Right. So what days were you involved with the election this year?
I got Wednesday last week. So
this would be November 4th?
Yeah, whatever last Wednesday
the day
was.
after Election Day?
Yes. So I was contacted, and I've got all the text messages and stuff on my phone. I was contacted by a Cindy who said, Mary contacted me and said, Cindy's trying to get a hold of you. And I go, who's Cindy? And she said, well, apparently a bunch of ballots, and there's pictures, a bunch of ballots came in to TCF at 3:45 this morning. And we just found out that there are no Republicans in the room.
Okay, so you said Cindy called you?
Cindy, yes.
Okay, who is Cindy?
Can I get my phone to tell you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Take your time.
She was making phone calls. I need my glasses. She was making phone calls to get people to TCF. So she messaged me and said, I am so sorry. I thought I told her. I couldn't find. I run a nonprofit.
Okay. Which one?
Downriver for Veterans. And I thought I left this phone at home, and I didn't. That's my business phone. So she said, can you be Cindy Callgreen?
How do you spell that?
Here. This is her.
Okay.
So
now, did Cindy witness these ballots arrive at 3:45?
She sent, apparently, yes. I'm not going to tell you absolutely positively because I don't know.
Okay.
But she did send me the thing saying somebody had told her, and there was a picture of a Lexus, a truck, and a van behind TCF that apparently she has the pictures, showed the ballots. So
interesting. Would you mind sharing her phone number with me?
I don't know if I have her phone number. I don't know if she gave me her phone number.
Oh, okay.
Everything was in Messenger. Hang on.
Okay. I would really like to talk to her.
Let me see. Oh, she was all over this. She was amazing. She was outside our room. She's the one that told me what room to go to when I got there, which was, I believe, 264 or 260. Okay. We were to go there and get a briefing on what we were supposed to do.
Okay.
You know what? I will ask her. Can I have your phone number? Important.
So the reason is,
she'll tell me.
I have actually spoken to several people. I've done about 30 interviews over the weekend and yesterday. And I've spoken to several people who actually saw this, sometime between 3 and 5 a.m. ballot dump or ballot dumps. We haven't quite verified how many there were.
Well,
and so the more people that we can get who actually witness this or have pictures of it, the better, because this is a pretty big story.
It is. And you know what? So anyway, she called me and she said, where do you live? And I said, Wyandotte. And she said, how fast can you get to TCF? I said, well, I'm a veteran. I can get showered and dressed in 10 minutes, be out the door. So I took a shower, got my makeup on, and flew down there. Because I'm new to the United States, I've taken history here, but because I was never a citizen, even though I was in the military, I never felt like this country was really mine until last year when I got sworn in. So this was my first year voting.
Right.
I was ecstatic. And then when Cindy called me, I'm like, oh my God, what a great learning this will be for me. I'll get to go down and see exactly how ballots are done. And I was excited to learn. So I got there and I thought, being in the military, that you don't just walk in there. They're going to have security. You're going to have to leave your phone in the car and your purse in the car. I mean, this is a big deal. So I left my purse in the car and I grabbed my phone only. And I thought they're probably not going to let me in with a phone, but I'll take it. So I get there. Cindy tells me you have to go downstairs first. You have to get your temperature taken, then you can come back up. So I go down, they take my temperature. I go into this room where we're instructed that there are no Republicans in the room. And that we are to take a table, each person, and we are to just stand there and observe. Make sure that the name on the ballot is the name they put in the computer. Make sure everything matches. So I got a little scary because I'm like, I've never done this before. You're going to leave me at a table by myself? Okay. So I met Emily, who I will give you her number. I don't know if she's already done a deposition. I think she might have because she's the one that told me. I met Emily and I said, have you ever done this before? And she said, no. And then I met this other guy, Chris, who's got a video on our page, who is very, very good, who witnessed a lot more than I did. And he went live with his video.
Okay.
So I go in there with Emily. We all go downstairs. They take our temperature. We walk in. There was no sign-in sheet. There was nothing. So we walk in and there's like maybe 100 of us walk in there. So we get in there and I'm like, I got to follow somebody. I'm going to have to stand by somebody because I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm not going to look like an idiot. So I go over to table one. There was a girl there named Robin. I wish to God I would have got her phone number. She's an attorney.
Let me stop you right quick.
Okay.
What time did you actually get there on the 4th?
Probably about 10 after 9.
Okay.
So I go over to this table and I introduce myself to this woman that's standing there, a younger woman. She's an attorney. And I said, have you done this before? She goes, absolutely. And I said, can I stand by you and watch it? That no sooner happened and somebody came over and said, split it up. Two of you cannot be at the table. And I'm going, we don't care. There's one per table. So I look at her and I go, and the guy goes, I'm not going to tell you again. Okay. He goes, there's nobody at that table. You go over there. He was not a Republican. So I go over to the table and I'm standing there and I'm going, I have no idea what I'm looking at. So I guess basically all I can really do
Was there anything happening at the table?
They were doing ballots.
Mm-hmm.
All the tables were doing ballots. So I'm like, okay, well.
So what do you mean you had no idea? Were you trained for your role?
No. So it was almost like, and I hate to say this, it was like somebody dropped the ball on the Republican end. Something happened. I don't know what it was. If we would have been, it was seriously 7:00 in the morning. We got the phone call that the ballots were dumped. We need to get down there. They found out there was no Republicans. So we were there at 9:00, 100 people in a room. Some had done it before. Some of us had not. So I thought, okay, I remember him saying, make sure the name on the ballot is the name that gets put in the computer.
Okay.
So I'm standing there and I go over, the guy comes over, step back. I go, I can't. He goes, I don't care. Step back 6 foot. And I'm thinking to myself, you've got 6 people at a table that are sitting right next to each other with masks on. Mm-hmm. And they're not 6 foot apart. Why are you making me stand? I said, that doesn't make any sense. He goes, step back. And walking towards me like, if you don't step back, I'm going to run right into you. So I step back and I'm thinking to myself, this is ridiculous. This is stupid. I can't do this. So I go to find somebody. I go back and I talk to Robin. I go, Robin. She goes, what? I go, I don't understand what they're doing. I said, I can't see that paperwork, that teeny writing from 6 foot away. She goes, I know. She said, this is what they've told us to do. Write down anything you see that you don't think is correct. I said, well, I can't write it down if I can't see it. So it became a debacle. It was a total catastrophe.
How long were you there?
I was there till 7:00 that night.
Okay.
So I went over to find somebody else to help me. I go, and that's when I found Emily. I said, Emily, can I sit with you? Somebody came over and said, get away. Split up. I go, this is the dumbest. He goes, we're not going to tell you again. We
Who
will
is this
throw you
person
out.
who's killing you?
These are the Democrats. There's no names on them. They're just guys in suits.
So they felt they had the authority to just
Yes.
throw you guys out.
Yes, they did. They threw a guy out. This was about, and then there was back up, Ann. So then we're all like, okay, this is a mess. Nobody's telling us what to do. We got Republican lawyers there, but they're as confused as we are. It was basically throw a wolf in that room and let's attack it. There was absolutely, at one point, I went to look over at the door and they're applauding. Explain this to a common sense brain. There was a guy there that couldn't wear a mask. He had state of Michigan paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
And they went over to him and said, put your mask on. He said, I have paperwork right here. They said, we really don't give a shit. Whoever their security was picked the guy up and literally took him to the door and threw him out. So I have my phone and I'm going, okay, enough's enough. If they can have phones at their tables, which was another thing, which I'll tell you after, I go to put my phone up to take a picture and all of a sudden this hand comes out of nowhere and my phone goes flying. I'm like, what the hell?
Someone assaulted you?
So this woman comes over and she's in front of me and she smacks my phone. Well, my first instinct is to do this.
Uh-huh.
So I look at her and I go, don't ever touch me again. And before I could finish, these guys in the suits again come over and he goes, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm not going to tell you again. I said, wait a minute. She knocks the phone out of my hand and that's okay. He goes, stop talking. Go. And the girl looks at me and she goes, what are you afraid of? I said, I'm not afraid of nothing, but you better be very afraid of me. I said, because that's wrong. She goes, you don't belong here. I go, we do belong here. No, you don't. The guy goes, stop arguing with her. I go, where am I? Am I in a communistic country that I can't
people have
speak?
credentials, the people in the suits?
They didn't need to show us anything. They did not care.
What did they look like?
They're all African American and they were all in suits. And the ones that weren't in suits had black polos like yours.
Okay.
All of them.
All men?
That were doing the bossing around. Yeah. The only women that they had there were the supervisors over like 3 tables. They were African American also.
How did you know they were Democrats?
Because they flat out basically said, you don't need to be here. We have this. And I go, no, Republicans need to be here. No, you don't. We don't need Republicans here. I was like, is this America? I said, are you kidding me?
Huh.
They were basically, we stood at a table and they literally would look at you like you were the lowest form of human being. And they didn't care if they hurt you or what they said. So then at 12 o'clock, when they announced they're all going to lunch, except for one person per table, they go for lunch. So I didn't bring no money. I didn't bring my purse. So
who went for lunch? The Republicans?
The Democrats. No, I'm a Republican. The Republicans didn't leave. We were basically told if you leave, you're not coming back in. They're not going to replace you.
So where did the Dems go for lunch?
So we're sitting around, me and Emily, and I said, Emily, I'm starving. I said, there's got to be something up that escalator because everybody keeps going up the escalator and coming down with lunches. So she goes, are you hungry? I go, I'm freaking starved. It's 12 o'clock. I didn't eat on my way here. So we go on the escalator and we go upstairs and every Democrat had a green dot. That's another thing. All Democrats had a green dot.
Including the guys in suits?
Yes. They had a dot either back here. It was weird. They had one back here or they had it on their elbow. And then we had, of course, the tag that says Michigan GOP. Okay. So we go upstairs and there's a line of people waiting for food. So we get in the line. I'm like, oh my God, this is great. We get a water and a sandwich. So I go up there and she goes, I said, what kind of sandwiches do you have? She goes, none for you. I look at Emily and I go, what? She goes, these are for the people that are working the ballots. I said, I'm working the ballots. She goes, no, you're not. I go, oh, I see how this goes. This is for Democrats, not for Republicans.
Could she have meant that was for the paid poll worker staff?
No, she told us she didn't care. I said, we're hungry. We've been here. We're manning tables.
But you were a poll challenger, right?
Yes.
So you were a volunteer.
Yes.
Could that have been catering that was reserved for the paid staff, the people who were sitting at the tables? ballots.
You know what? I'm not going to say yes or no to that. I'm just saying the way they treated us was like, we don't care if you're falling down diabetic. We're not giving you anything.
I see.
So I said, Emily and I looked at each other and I said, oh my God. And I said, you know what? There is a coffee thing over there. I said, and it's out of everybody's way. Maybe we can sneak over and at least get a cup of coffee because I'm starting to get a headache from not eating. So we went over and snuck some coffee and left and went right back down. So then 4 hours, nothing. 4 hours, nothing happened. Nothing.
You mean no ballots were counted?
No. And I don't.
Starting about when?
About noon when they went to lunch. They didn't come back. It was like we were walking around talking to each other going, what is going on? And we're like, I don't know. Even our attorneys didn't know. Everybody's like, why are they not counting ballots? Where is everybody? Where did they go? It was like, obviously, I'm speculating, but they had to be somewhere. And we were waiting for the military votes, is what we were told to watch for, because they don't get put on the same paper that goes in the machine.
So from noon to 4, there's no ballots being tabulated?
No.
And nobody's in the place?
Oh, yeah, there's one Democrat at every single table and us standing around.
How many Republicans are at the tables?
There was no Republican at a table. Standing at a table, we were. We all were assigned to stand at a table. There were no Republicans sitting at the table. They were all Democrats.
My understanding is that the people who sat at the tables were the paid staff, the paid poll workers.
Yes.
And then you have Dem challengers, independent challengers who could be with an NGO that is left or right leaning. You know, I think some were there with the Election Integrity Fund, which is kind of a conservative affiliate organization. And then I'm also told you had other guys with like Black Lives Matter or the SEIU or the ACLU or whoever that were not really Democrats, but they're independent, you know, obviously liberal leaning.
I have a video. They were stuck outside.
Who?
These non-biased.
The nonpartisan?
Yeah, they were stuck outside. And so were we. We got told at about 4:00 that there was an announcement made that there were too many people in the room and that if we left, you will not be allowed back in and nobody will be allowed to take your place. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what you're doing.
Did they tell the Dems that?
No, they made the announcement. So none of us, and this was sad because.
And this is crucial. They
Yeah.
only told Republicans, if
Yeah.
you leave, you can't come in.
Yeah.
Did anybody say, hey, what about them?
No. I don't know how to explain this to you. You couldn't talk to them. You couldn't say anything. They didn't care. I mean, they flat out, it was like, you have no authority in this room. So just shut up or we'll throw you out. The ones that left to go get something to eat did not know they weren't going to be allowed back in. So half of our group left to go get something to eat and got stuck outside. So that was when a group of us watched this poor kid. I wish I would have got his name and number. He was trying to challenge a ballot. And he got maybe.
What did he look like?
He was a young kid. Kind of looked like you.
Okay.
And he was on the far side of the room and you could hear the ruckuses going on. And I'm going, what the heck's going on over there? So Emily and I go over and this poor kid is trying to look over this person's shoulder to see what they're doing. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a group of people show up and they blocked him. So he would like move this way.
They blocked his view?
Yeah, he would move this way. They got in front of him. He would move this way. They got in front of him. And there was like 4 of them. So then a guy in a suit would come over and say, you guys cannot be standing here because of COVID. And I said, wait a minute. I have had enough of this. I said, you're telling us that 4 of us cannot stand here, but you got 5 people at that table blocking this guy that aren't even supposed to be there. Shut up and go back to your table. I'm like, this is hopeless. This is
He told you, shut up.
Yes, and go back to your table. Or we will throw you out. We constantly got told, we're going to throw you out. You will leave. So I took a video. I went up front. I took a video of them boarding up the windows. So I went to take a video of the people that were out there. And the guy comes over. I think he thought I was taking pictures. Otherwise, I'm sure he would have confiscated the phone. So I went like this and he comes over and he gets right in front of me. He goes, get back. Right now, get back. I go, this is insane. Let him go back or we'll throw you out. That was all we got told. If we challenged anything, if we asked anything, we will throw you out. We will throw you out. The poor attorneys that were representing us, that were there, were at a loss. They were just at a loss. It didn't matter if they challenged a table or not. So we ended up getting told, whatever you see, challenge everything. Challenge it. Because this is ridiculous. So we decided to start challenging everything. That lasted 5 minutes before they came over and said, this is enough's enough. You need to step back 6 feet, so that we couldn't see anything. They purposely were making sure we couldn't see anything.
So you did challenge some ballots.
Oh, yeah. And then I gave the paperwork to Emily because I wasn't exactly sure how to word it. So Emily documented a ton, and we gave it to, she knows who they gave it to. They gave it to one of the attorneys for the Republicans.
Well, were your challenges ever entered into the challenge book by the state?
No, that's why we had to write it on paper, because they wouldn't let us do anything. They wouldn't let us.
They wouldn't even accept your challenges.
No, they wouldn't let us look at the books.
Well, that's the whole point of the whole challenge being there.
Then this was when I knew that the only Republicans in that room were us, because somebody came through the room at like 4:30, 5 o'clock and said, Biden took Michigan. The entire room applauded except for us. I looked at Emily and I said, what is wrong with this picture? And she goes, what do you mean? I go, what do I mean? How can there be any Republicans at these tables?
What time did they make that announcement?
That was about 4:30, 5 o'clock. This woman walks through and I said, that's false news. How can he have taken presidency when we're still counting ballot? Be quiet and go back to your table. It was like, I told Emily, I have never in my entire life ever seen such a chaotic. I am serious. If you would have passed out in that room, they would have done nothing. When somebody got thrown out, the entire room applauded. They all applauded. I said, what is this? We have pictures. You tell me what is legal, because I was in the military. How can you sit at a table with something as vital as a ballot, with your phone on the table, your water on the table, and your purse next to you? Why is that purse there? That purse should not be allowed in that room. We caught one woman picking up ballots. Emily and I followed her. She picked up ballots from somewhere, and we were talking. I said, Emily, check that out. And she goes, what? I go, that woman just got ballots from somewhere. She's got a whole handful. So she goes, where's she going? I go, I have no idea. So we're following her. And she goes, she's got a huge red purse, bigger than this, bigger than mine, on her shoulder. I said, tell me what's wrong with this picture. Why do they have purses in here? They shouldn't have anything. There should have been a security thing you go through.
What was she doing? She picked up empty ballots?
No, envelopes with ballots in them. So we're like, where's she going? She goes back to her table. We lost her for a second because people got in our way. And then we found her back at her table. She had about this many ballots on her table and she was sitting on her purse. I said to Emily, I got a
Sitting
gut
on her purse.
on her purse. I said, I got a gut feeling those ballots are in her purse. She goes, I'm going to get one of the challengers or one of the supervisors to go over with one of the attorneys. Goes over and talks to her. And before he could finish his conversation, there were 3 Democrats.
Doing what?
Just telling him there's no need for you to be over here. She's doing what she's supposed to be doing. You need to just leave it alone. I was like, we don't have any power.
Were you prevented from doing your job as a poll challenger?
Oh, heck yes.
Did you
Heck
feel that
yes.
they were trying to intimidate people?
They were we walked out of there at 7 o'clock because I wanted to leave before I was parked on the roof. I said, I am so concerned with the anger in this room. I am leaving before it's dark. I just am. And I'm not afraid. We were so intimidated when Emily and I walked out of that room and ran into a Danish news reporter. Before we ran into her, both of us had a meltdown. I started crying. She started crying. I said, I'm so glad I'm not the only one, even now. She said, I have never in my entire life. I said, how do you think I feel? This is my first year being a citizen. I thought this was going to be a learning experience. This is the biggest debacle I have ever seen in my life. I said, you know what? I don't give, excuse me for cussing, but I don't give a shit if Biden won. If it's correct, if it's real. And right now, I don't think it's real. Why are they so worried about us challenging ballots? Why are they more concerned at us even looking at the table?
So did you feel that this was just negligence and lack of preparation by the staff and the Democrats, or did you feel that there was a concerted effort to mess with the election process?
I truly believe this was planned by the Democrats for months and months and months. It was perfect. It was for every single person at every table in there did exactly what the other person did. And they were all told there are enough. It was almost like they were told there are enough of us Democrat supervisors here. You guys just stay seated. Don't say nothing. We'll take care of it. And they did. You went to challenge a table. Nobody at that table really said anything. Here they come. They were like eyes on us, every one of us. There was like 5 of them were watching you. And the minute we would challenge something, they would come over.
So you mentioned a couple times that you were in the military.
Yeah.
What did you do in the military?
I cut the orders to bring the guys home from Vietnam.
Okay.
I was injured in Vietnam. I was stationed in Colorado Springs.
Which branch?
Air Force.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I had my Air Force hat on that day. And I was told, what the lady that knocked the phone out of my hand, she was lucky. I told her, I will never forget your face. She just came at me and she said, you're not military. You don't belong in here. I said, stop talking to me. She goes, no, I'm not going to stop talking to you. You don't need to be here. Why are you worried about it? I go, why are you worried about it? Why are you guys so afraid of us watching you? If you're not doing anything wrong, why can't we watch the ballot process? And then a guy would come over and go, get away, stop talking to her. It was like they knew who was who in that room. It was horrible. I learned nothing except for the fact that it was the most crooked thing I have ever seen in my entire life, and I would swear to oath on it. It was not right. How can you tell me this is fair when somebody says Biden took Michigan and the entire room applauds? What does that tell you? It should have been half applaud and half should have gone boo. Number one. And number two, how can something be so vital that an idiot can walk through a room and say Biden took Michigan during a process of counting ballots? Then they brought out the military ballots, probably about 4, and they put on a table down the middle of the room, and we were told to watch them. We didn't really know what we were doing, but we were told to watch them. So we stood there, along with, now there were some Democrats, I don't know who they were, they just had green dots that were like yuppies. And they would stand next to us and stare at us like to intimidate us. You can't intimidate me, but I'm shocked. I'm just appalled. So then we were told, follow the ballots to the table. Make sure when they transfer it, listen to them. This is how it was supposed to be. This person, we were told, you've got a Democrat and a Republican at a table. This proper way. They pull the military ballot out of the envelope. They open it up. Here is the ballot that's going to go into the machine. They transpose this to this. John Smith, this person writes it. President Trump. We were supposed to watch that to make sure it happened. We didn't get to watch that.
They just didn't want you to get close enough.
No, they wouldn't let you get close enough. And then they would stand so that you couldn't see the ballot. So then...
Now they call this the duplication process.
Yes. So I was like, we can't even watch this. This is ridiculous. We are hopeless. There is nothing we can do to control any of this. So then we were told, word came out. I don't know who did it. Probably our guys up in room 264. We get told, okay, they're not going to let us do anything. So this is what we're going to ask each and every one of you. Make sure at least they seal the ballot. It's sealed when they put it back in. We couldn't watch that either. It got to the point at 7:00. I said, I'm out of here. I'm done. This is ridiculous. I'm starving. We can't leave because if you leave, they won't let you back in. Emily said, I'm going. I said, I'm going too. I said, this is insane. So we go to leave, and this guy says to Emily, you got to sign the sign-out sheet. We look at each other. She goes, there is no sign-out sheet. Yeah, there is. I go, no, there's not. He goes, there was a sign-in sheet. I go, there is no sign-in sheet. Nobody signed anything in. We signed our sheets with our guys. We don't have a sign-in sheet with you. Yeah, you do. You got to sign that sheet over there. Say you're leaving. So Emily goes, I'm not signing anything. And why do I have to sign it? Because we don't want you to turn around an hour later and say we fudged up the ballots. So we want to make sure we know when you left. So I'm thinking, you guys have already fudged up the ballots. You've already screwed it. You did exactly what you wanted to do. So Emily goes, I'm Donald Duck. And I said, and I'm Minnie Mouse. And we're not giving you our name. And we left. There was no sign-in sheet. There was nothing. There were purses on the floor. There were purses on the table. They brought their lunches down. It was like an election for a janitor. There was no guidelines, and they did not care. It was like they knew exactly what they were doing. Exactly what they were doing. And we were not prepared at all. And they had a field day. I know they just laughed. You could tell they were not worried at all about anything. And if we didn't do or act the way they wanted, they threw people out.
You feel like they knew the result before?
Oh, hell yeah. They knew.
Biden would take Michigan?
Oh, yeah. Who comes through a room and says, Biden took Michigan? I'm going, how did that happen? We haven't even done the military votes yet. And they all applauded. Every time they threw one of us out, they all applauded. I said, you think this is fixed, Emily? She goes, yep.
Who's Emily again? Can you give me her last name?
I don't know Emily's last name, unfortunately.
Just the phone number would be great.
I will give you Emily's phone number.
Good info.
She went to the rally. We both went to TCF on Saturday. They had another rally she asked me to go to, but I told her I couldn't because of my nonprofit. Her number is this is from, have you heard of Stephanie Ann?
I don't think so.
Okay, this is what she sent me.
Oh yeah, I think the state party is taking some depositions or something.
Okay,
like
so
that.
there's we've got a lot of contacts. She was.
Let me interrupt you right quick. Sorry, you mentioned a video that you took while you were in there of them boarding up the windows. Would you mind sharing that with me?
Absolutely. She said this was Saturday, got a call from a lawyer to come in and sign an affidavit.
Yeah, they were doing some stuff in Livonia.
Okay. Here it is. Is this my video?
Can you just send it to my email address? I think you already have it.
Yeah, this is. When I got the phone to the top is when I went to pull the cardboard back, and the guy comes over and he goes, "Get to the back of the room now, or I'm throwing you out."
Can you please forward that to my email? I would love to see that. Thank you.
I will. My girlfriend got pictures of, she was sitting on the floor and she was taking pictures of them with their purses under the table and their lunches. And I said, I have never in my entire life, would never in a million years think the United States of America would let a ballot process be just like this. This is not legal. This is like a kindergarten joke that they already knew what was going to happen. And we were not prepared. I heard 1,000 times over, and I hate to say this, I heard 1,000 times over from us Republicans that were there, and we knew who we were because you had the name thing on. We all said, who is the idiot for the Republicans that dropped this ball? Who dropped this ball?
By dropping the ball, you mean not being prepared?
We
for
were
this
not
level of
137 of us showed up that had never done this before in our life, from an urgent call at 7:00 that morning saying, if you take an oath to the United States, get down here, because there are no Republicans watching these tables. It was like they had either somebody lied to them and said, and they didn't know until it actually opened up. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't lie.
Any chance that you were one of the ones that applied to be a poll worker?
I applied for it. They never called me.
So when you applied, at any point in that process, did you have to declare your party affiliation?
Mm-mm.
No?
Mm-mm. There was a veteran there. His name was Yakovich, and I want to hook you up with him. I felt so good that he was there. He was doing and I don't know exactly what it was, so bear with me. He was looking at them inputting, apparently, which you could call him and ask him. He can tell you better. But he was at the main station computer for looking on the computer.
Mhm.
There was a Republican and a Democrat. Yes, right there. The rest of the tables, there
Okay.
were none.
So what did Yakovich see?
I walked by and I went, Jeff, what are you doing here? He goes, I applied. I go, how'd you get in? I go, I applied too. They didn't call me. Everyone that was in there, 90% of us applied to be a poll counter and we weren't contacted.
So was Jeff Yakovich a poll worker?
Yes, he was, yes.
He was a Republican poll
Yes.
worker. Okay.
So he was, and he's a Marine. No, Navy. So he was there next to, and you could tell the difference. The people that were at these tables, we were